so far have had a chance to occupy the throne. Tomorrow, who will it be? Here's your Monster Energy Series points. Kevin Harvick atop Kurt Busch and Brad Keselowski, who are colored yellow because they're in with a win. Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, the top 5. There's Austin Dillon, currently 10th quickest. Let's have a look at drivers dealing with turn 1. Drivers and teams, that is.
You can really start to look at the left rear and the fender and watch the movement of the car as it goes up and down in the rear. You have to understand there's some really stiff springs in the right side, a little softer in the left side, so the real movement is happening in the left rear. But when you see that on camera, it just tells you how violent and the forces that are being pushed down into the racetrack and through the suspension. Here's a moment that got Paul Menard's attention when the back end of the car actually stepped out on him.
Yeah, the only spring that's really working, the others are coil bound. We talked about that earlier in the show. The front 2 and the right rear are coil bound. The left rear is really the only spring that is really working in the car. It's where the car's moving up and down the most if you watch the left rear tire.
Look at the loads on his body. That tells you what a driver puts their body through. You can see, watch the top of his helmet as he goes down the corner. Watch it start to sink down. Look at that. That's the lateral load, vertical load of the car and the driver. Oh, he's coming to pit road.
Yeah,
on the brakes. Oh, look at it jump sideways a little bit right there.
When you head down that back straightaway into turn 3, you're doing 200 miles an hour. For heaven's sakes, 200 miles an hour.
Well, I loved how you could just see the loads being pulled on his body as he went into the corner. That pushed him down in as well as pushed him to the side, to the right side of the seat. Pretty cool shot right here. That's what I call perfect.
You know how much 200 miles an hour, you know how much that is? That's a football field a second.
Now I want this shot right here. I want to explain this area that you're seeing. Okay, that's where it rubbed the wall. Think of the angle. Well, actually, it looks like you might have gotten a little bit more of it. I'm seeing some damage over here as well. I was going to say just that right corner was from the car going sideways enough of an angle where it only touched that part of the corner of the bumper, but looking at the rest of the fender, he got it pretty good with the right side.
That's a body rash.
Jamie?
Well, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., this track here at Las Vegas has been pretty good to him. Won an Xfinity Series race here in 2012 and finished 12th last year. But this weekend, he has been wrecking loose. I talked to Brian Patty, his crew chief, before this practice. He said, yesterday we threw the sink at it. Today we threw the refrigerator at it. We had tried everything. If we could just get it in the ballpark to focus on one thing, we'd be happy. Well, I just asked Ricky, and he said they're making progress. Not as loose. They're focusing on one thing in the 17th. He's 20th on the board right now.
Thanks, Jamie. Well, Larry Mack's going to have to sit down at the Hollywood Hotel to help host pre-race for the Xfinity race this afternoon. What's got your eye in this practice?
Not necessarily in this practice, but what these guys are dealing with. We've been talking about pit road speeding, so we have worked hard this week to give you a view with our Ford Cutaway car what the driver is looking at. It's on the digital dash. Now you see the analog tachometer. We've just chosen 4,000 is pit road speed, and you can see all the green lights are lit up. But if you start to go over it, you'll start to see these red lights start to flicker. That's the driver's sign that, hey, I'm over. Now, if you see some green lights go away, that means you're actually under pit road speed. But what I've been told is once you start flickering these red lights, that the segments are so short, it's hard to recover. But the bottom line is the driver doesn't even need to look at that. All he needs, Jeff, are those lights up there.
I mean, it's a very fine-tuned system. It's a great way to be very accurate and precise, but it also is very tempting to push the limits so far that it's easy to go over that speed limit.
So NASCAR says we're going to give you a 5-mile-an-hour tolerance from the 45-mile-an-hour speed limit, and then the team says you need to use 4.9 of that.
49.9 miles per hour, 73 feet a second.
And as we're riding along here with Eric Almirola and looking at his digital dash, you can see there's a lot of different ways where the teams can utilize how they set up and how they lay out their digital dash. I'm actually looking over here. I'm trying to see. I think that 2.1, that may have something to do with the track bar height.
There's a lap time that just came up.
Oh, okay. That's what that was his first lap on, and it didn't register. So that's his lap time. Somewhere on there is a height for his track bar. There's different gauges for temperatures and air pressure. I think actually this might be the track bar. But then over here on this side, he's choosing to use an analog gauge. But I promise you, when he comes to pit road, there's a light system. Now, some teams will choose to go to a different page. They have a switch on there. They can go to a totally different page that is just the lights. Others may incorporate lights onto this actual page as well. Larry?
No question. Everybody is different. We just kind of chose one that was common to try to tell the story about what these drivers are looking at.
Yeah, Larry, the one that you put out there is very similar to the one when I ran last year in the 88 car, was the way they had it laid out.
Ryan Newman climbing out after having a bit of a moment down in turn 1. Here's a look at it.
Well, we just saw Paul Menard, his teammate, get pretty loose going down into turn 1, running a little bit higher lane, but very similar situation as he tried to, Ryan Newman tried to dive down to the white line.
That looked like the splitter may have hit the ground there, but the car really took off. The reason, folks, we keep talking about the bumps is because that's what the guys in the garage are talking about.
Paul Menard back out on track for another run.